Give me some players who you think would win a Super Bowl. Former Vols, VFL, former Tennessee players. We're going to put together a Super Bowl winning team right now, comprised of former Vols. I think Peyton Manning's your quarterback. I'm going to go out on a limb there. And it's brought to you by Bassey. Yes, it's brought to you by Bassey Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Bassey Lawn and Garden, they've got the buying power to save you a ton of money, whether you're in Chattanooga, Nashville, or Knoxville. Man alive, it is worth the drive. Bassey Lawn and Garden, go to Bassey.com. So 4 downs. First down, it is Peyton Manning. If it's not Peyton Manning, who is your first pick for this Super Bowl winning football team of former Vols we're putting together? Rebecca, I see you. I see you're tired of Saban. I want your input on who should be on our Super Bowl team. If we say the name, you've got to move forward. You got to give us a new one. And most underrated fruit.
So if we're drafting, we're drafting a team, and Peyton Manning is everybody's first pick. Who's our second pick, basically, to try to build this team?
That's first down.
My second pick is probably going to be Reggie White, just because of the line of scrimmage and just the sheer dominance and the versatility you get with him at defensive line.
Okay, that would be your first pick. So if we didn't go quarterback, if we wanted to say quarterback specifically, Rocky Top Tom came up with, if not Peyton, Tony Robinson was pretty darn good. Yep.
You're not picking Tony Robinson to win your Super Bowl over Peyton Manning.
He got the Redskins to a Super Bowl.
No, he got them to the playoffs with 1 win in which he didn't even throw a touchdown pass.
He threw an incredible ball down the sideline against the Cowboys. I know that was caught inside the 5. So that's practically a touchdown pass.
You're not taking him over Peyton Manning, though.
No. Not over, but would he be second about? Yeah, Tom, we're talking about all things. Okay, so Peyton, if we're not talking, if it's not the number 1 pick in today's, if Peyton isn't the number 1 pick in today's NFL, guess who I'm taking?
Who are we going?
Eric Berry. In his prime, before the health issues, that guy's a bona fide Hall of Famer. The list is pretty short. If you just look at the NFL and the former Tennessee players that are NFL, that's pretty easy. Schuler gets a vote. Thank you, Travis. All right, so second down. You got Reggie White as your next pick. Go ahead and fill me in with your next level of players. That's second down.
So a collection of them is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. People forget about this because his career was shortened by a neck injury. But if his career wasn't shortened by
Kelly Washington. No, Kelly Washington.
If his career wasn't shortened by a neck injury, and if he wasn't playing during the same era as Ray Lewis in the same conference, we'd be talking about Al Wilson in this type of lore too, because that dude was a superstar Pro Bowl linebacker when he played at Denver. And
you get great leadership too. Another vote for Al Wilson. All right. So the next level is Al Wilson on second down. I'm going to throw Deon Grant in there.
God, imagine that safety unit. Eric Berry and Deon Grant at safety.
Yeah, you're going to be pretty good. We got to make a place for Fred White. Fred White will have to drop some pounds and play corner again, like when he showed up to Tennessee. All right, so on the offensive side, third down, who is the most important player that you can pick up? Think of today's NFL. Yes, Fred White got a vote. So did Jason Allen. That would be our corner right there. And then Dwayne Goodrich on the other side, secondary set. But the offensive side, on the offensive side, who you taking? You got Peyton as your quarterback.
I think you got to load up on the offensive line. So I'm immediately going with Chad Clifton, putting Chad Clifton in at left tackle. And I mean, that's crucial.
I'm going to go off script. I think if this is a draft, I think there are so many good receivers and offensive linemen. I would go running back Jamal Lewis.
Jamal Lewis would be an intriguing one. I mean, I can't knock that, obviously. So
he's, we were talking with Mercedes Hamilton and Fred last night, and it was Travis Henry was very good. You knew you were going to have to bring it, but the thing was Jamal could shake you, and then suddenly you're tackling air. So I think a special tailback, even though in today's NFL there are no special tailbacks, I'm going to go in that regard. Who else on the offensive line would you take?
Scott Wells at center, Trey Smith at guard. I mean, those three, Chad Clifton, Scott Wells, Trey Smith, and also Trey Teague. He played tackle for a decent amount of time in the NFL. And I think I've got a pretty filled out offensive line at that point. I think I can win a Super Bowl with those guys.
I think you're good. Travis says Lewis, Cobb, and Henry is my backfield. Wow. And we have to leave out Chuck Webb, Smoky Mountain Red, Leonard Little, Constantine Ritzman. We need to start a tradition like I had when I was doing terrestrial radio, and that is Constantine Ritzman's name is mentioned during every single show. We did that for roughly 2 years. Constantine Ritzman.
Well, I saw it on it's great Smoky Mountain Red mentioned Leonard Little because, Tennessee was wide receiver U, and I always felt they should have been defensive line U. Because in 2003, Leonard Little was second in the NFL in sacks. John Henderson and Albert Haynesworth were both Pro Bowlers. Just imagine those three playing together on one defensive line in the NFL, much less college.
That leads me to third down. You've already taken Reggie White. Who are you taking next?
No, I already told you, Chad Clifton.
No, in the defensive line. Sorry.
Oh, on the defensive line. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, after Reggie White and after Al Wilson, because we've mentioned Al Wilson, Dale Carter. That's my lockdown cornerback.
No, I like that, but defensive line. Who you got to go along?
Oh, defensive line. Oh, okay. All right, I've already taken. All right, at that, I'm taking Albert Haynesworth. For all of his issues, Albert Haynesworth and Reggie White together. I think Reggie White could keep Albert Haynesworth in line.
Yep. Crazy good sting. There's not a lot of people that have walked the face of the earth with that kind of fast twitch ability at that size. We need to have him on. He's doing something with Don King. Darwin Walker gets a. I like that. I also
you can't
like
because would you start Darwin Walker over Henderson and Haynesworth though?
No.
So think about. So my question to you is, that is depth. Here's the question, Dave. Could you win a Super Bowl? Pick a year when a bunch of Tennessee players were playing. Could you win a Super Bowl with just Tennessee players in a certain year? And my bet is 2003. You could.
Wait, the 2003
NFL season. Take former Vols who were in the NFL in 2003, and I bet you I could win a Super Bowl with them. You ready for this rundown?
Yeah, but first, fourth down, give me your two receivers you would take, because that's an interesting debate.
Okay, my two receivers would be Stanley Morgan, the best NFL receiver who ever played at Tennessee, if you really go through the numbers. And then on the other side, I would probably go Carl Pickens.
I would go Carl Pickens and Alvin Harper. And the reason
the 1990 receiving core.
Yeah, pretty much. And the reason I would go Harper, stretch the field just like the Dallas Cowboys did in 1992. He got sick of running go routes. They were like, he just run and go, run and go. That's basically what he did. All right, so you think 2003 that there's a team you could put together that current
Vols who were yes, in the current NFL, I could Vols who were in the NFL during that time. If I could get them all in their prime, I could have won a Super Bowl. And just actually,
what does your team look like?
I'm gonna move it up 1 year. I'm gonna move it up to 2004. Okay, I need to move it up to 2004. So I'm gonna move it up to 2004. Here's my team: Peyton Manning's my quarterback. Jamal Lewis is my running back. For those who don't know, in 2003, Peyton Manning was co-MVP and Jamal Lewis was a 2,000-yard rusher. I'm good at backfield with those two. Jason Witten is my tight end. My offensive line is Chad Clifton, Scott Wells, Trey Teague. I think I could find two more linemen in the NFL during that time. I think Fred Weary I could plug in at guard, and I could get another guy. On the defense, I could have John Henderson and Albert Haynesworth in the middle, Leonard Little and Sean Ellis on the ends. I'm good on defense on the line.
Yeah, you're good.
At linebacker, I could get Al Wilson at middle linebacker, who was a superstar during this time. Raynoch Thompson was a regular everyday starter during this time, and Dominic Stevenson and Eric Westmoreland both had some NFL experience at this point. I could get either of them. And
no, I can roll with that.
Yeah.
Who's your tight end? I assume it's Jason Witten, right?
Jason Witten. Yeah.
Because it
And then
should have been David Martin, but he wouldn't move to tight end and stayed at wide receiver at Tennessee. But anyway, that's another story.
That is another story. Now, receiver would be a little tricky. In 2004, my receivers would be Peerless Price would be one receiver because he was starting in the NFL. The second receiver would be a little bit difficult. Even though Tennessee was wide receiver U, they weren't really loaded with NFL receivers. I'd probably have to go Kelly Washington or Dante Stallworth for my other receiver during that time. Now, the secondary is where it gets intriguing. Jabril Wilson and Deon Grant are my safeties. I got safety locked up at that point. Jabari Greer would be my cornerback. I need another cornerback.
Wait,
that's where I'm struggling.
Okay, that's pre-Barry. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Jabari Greer would be my cornerback. I need another cornerback, and that's my only issue is I need a cornerback, but I think I can find somebody. But I'm telling you, I think I got a Super Bowl team with this.
No, I think you're pretty good. Rocky Top Tom said, can we have the same conversation in the context of Golden Age football? Yes. Caleb, we need to do that very, very soon. David Leverton is our punter. There's no question about it. Thank you, Smoky
Mr.
Mountain Red.
The most accurate punter ever. I still can't believe that was better than more than luck that he always did that.
Well, he'll tell you that his most incredible play was tackling Peter Warwick in the national championship game. That's what he was most proud of. Do you remember how isolated they were? It was just him and Peter Warwick, and it's like, man, David's about to get burnt. Scorched.
I need to go back and watch that. I don't even remember that.
Yeah, he makes the tackle in open field. He's the last dude.
Bad day for Peter Warwick. He couldn't beat Dwayne Goodrich in coverage, and he got tackled by a punter.
By the way, one thing I didn't know, the entire Fiesta Bowl before the national championship game, it's why you need to check out the Celebrate 98 series. It'll come up. We'll have the Mercedes-Hamilton conversation. They were not allowed to talk to Florida State, talk any trash. And they probably got that from Nebraska the year before, who didn't talk at all. And then the last day, Philip Fulmer said it was the last bowl event. So they have these bowl events, and it's some splash country thing. And he said, gag order lifted, say anything you want to. And the players are all with the Florida State players, and they just come out of their shell. And what it was, trash talking to the extreme.
That's a level of brilliance I wouldn't have expected from Philip Fulmer.
I discovered something else. He also told a joke during halftime of the national championship game, and Mercedes and Fred both said it's exactly what they needed because it loosened them up.
Wow.
I thought that was very
he had a unique skill at motivating players. That makes sense because, you're low-key. And I do remember a lot of Tennessee players, and I'm sure they'll tell you this in the 98 team. Everybody, it was ridiculous. Tennessee was undefeated. Florida State had one loss, and everybody was picking Florida State in that game, I remember. And I think the aura of Florida State bothered the Tennessee team.
It did. It did. And I never thought, just watching football and knowing ball like you do, I didn't think that Florida State was really any strong threat to beat Tennessee. Elias says, give us some names here. I'm going to start with Doug Atkins, but Elias did say, I wonder if there's anyone pre-1980 that belongs in this list. It's just such a different in terms of size, but I would have Doug Atkins on that list. Remind you, go to crafttreats.com, use the promo code Off the Hook. The promo code Off the Hook, get 20% off the chill pills with the CBD derivative or any of their fine products. 20% off with the promo code Off the Hook. That's crafttreats.com. The chill pills with the CBD will help with your pet's digestive issues, also help with your pet's maybe anxiety issues, arthritis as well. So who makes his list pre-1980?
I mean, I thought we were talking pre-1960. Are we talking pre-1980?
Well, Elias said pre-1980 earlier.
Okay, but so pre-1980, it's a little bit better because I was reading pre-1960 and I'm like, pre-1960, like sports doesn't count. You can't say who would make a list in football when players were playing when no black people could play. Okay, just you can't do that.
Yeah, you definitely limit the talent pool.
But
does anybody stand out other than Doug Atkins? I mean, people need to know that Doug Atkins. Oh, we'll do pre-1960 at some point too, as well, Tom. But just pre-1980, people need to know that Doug Atkins, he was the type of guy that was like the Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he was the just generational talent that was the biggest guy on the defensive line, but would jump over offensive linemen. I mean, it literally was that insane. And in a radio interview, he cursed like there's no tomorrow.
So I think a couple of guys from the Dickey era. I do think Steve DeLong, the first Outland Trophy winner in Tennessee history, could get there. I think Bob Johnson, the center from that time, could get there. And they could both play because they played during the 60s and 70s, and I think that was a time where you can make it. But pre-1960, it's Doug Atkins. Honestly, pre-1980. Pre-1980 and pre-1960, although Stanley Morgan was pre-1980, I think he could do it too. But pre-1960, it's Doug Atkins and nobody else. It's just Doug Atkins. Because Doug Atkins is like one of the few players who can play it in any era. And for people who want to be biased to eras, guys, Johnny Majors was a single wing tailback. And the single wing was all about running the ball. And Johnny Majors may have been, what, 175, $160? Something like that.
Yeah,
and
he wasn't big.
Yeah, you guys think a guy who's 160 pounds could be a tailback in today's college football or NFL?
No. No. That's Josh Ward running around is what that is. Yeah, if there's one piece of audio I wish I could go back and find, it was a 40-minute interview with Doug Atkins. And it was a lot of cursing, but it was also a lot of history that you didn't realize that you were just that one generation removed. Caleb, you would have loved it. I remember he would say things like, so I went up to George Hallis and I said, you bleepity bleep, son of a bleep, you bleepity bleep this. Okay. You said that to George Hallis? And he used to, and in Wrigley Field, he used to shoot pigeons with his rifle before games out of the rafters.
That is epic. That's so hilarious. Oh my gosh.
I mean, what do you do to get right before the game? I go out with a firearm in the stands and take out some birds.
John Morant would have loved him.
2 minutes of preview of a Big Ten team we want to get into. Yes, Alice did almost lose control of.
By the way, I'm a sports historian who also, with the exception of baseball, who doesn't like thinking players from different eras could play in this era. The whole Russell Chamberlain talk, guys, Bill Russell would not start or be on any NBA roster today. I'm sorry, he wouldn't. There's not one NBA team that he would be good enough to be on.
You're on such a good roll.